Hey folks, do you want to be a Pokemon master? I don't know, I ain't got a better introduction. We read the Emerald arc of Pokemon, my favorite of the GBA games. But it's not again, we're back to doing, or we're back to, well, we had one last time as well. We're back to one of sort of the off arcs that are adapting a not brand new game. So the plot line, you could tell from where the bookmarks were, it's a half as long as, say, like Gold and Silver or um Ruby Sapphire, and this might even be the shortest arc we've had so far,
It is in fact very short. It's most of volume 10, but then it's only like a third of volume 9.
which is
Um
crazy because that is technically the ending of the original series.
yeah, and I know that there's still volumes 11 and 12, right?
No, so this is where things get weird. What
Yeah.
we've read so far up till now was
Yeah.
the original Pokemon Adventures or Pokemon Special
Yeah.
series. Everything after this point starts like as a brand new volume one, because like this is sort of where the end of the, because like you'll notice a lot of these arcs have very interconnected continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, that continuity isn't nearly as interconnected, and they're split into separate series altogether.
Oh, because I
So it's
thought
sort
we
of,
I thought we still had another like volume or two after this.
nope, that was the, we do have more. There is more. I do have
So
the
wait,
next.
so they continued Pokemon Adventures, but it's not the same as this?
It's There's a story around it. Just know we're starting with a volume one next time, and I will tell you the batshit explanation as to why this is the way it is. But we are not reading any more like big collector's edition volumes because they did not make any more after this.
Okay. All right. That
Um, Confusing, ain't it?
I was gonna say that makes sense, but it doesn't. So I'll just leave that there. Um,
To be continued. But the actual arc, this arc adapts kind of the battle frontier, which is just this, in the games, it's just this sort of facility of challenge modes, or
yeah,
this
final
like
battle.
area of challenge modes that you
Yeah,
play
final
after you beat
battle
the
like
game.
1 through 3, right? He meets up with or is Emerald a he?
Emerald is a he.
Yeah, meets up with Sapphire and Ruby, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up like battling
So there's
because
kind of
there
sort of,
it's that big final battle thing, where there was like part
yeah,
one, part two, part three. Yeah.
there was a big final battle, and this, it although I don't think this was the intention, it's kind of hilarious that this ends up being the final arc of the original series, because they do bring back literally everybody for that final battle portion. But
Yeah.
before then, there is a bit of a contained arc, because it doesn't start with Ruby Sapphire on the island with Emerald. It
No,
starts
no,
with
no.
Emerald breaking into this yet to be opened Pokemon Battle theme park
Yeah.
and taking on the challenges. It's only later that you start to get the plot sort of revealed out to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. It honestly probably not one of my favorite arcs.
Not one of mine either.
Didn't really enjoy it very much. And I think maybe it's just because the parts I remember the most and the parts I enjoy the most are the ones where we got to see back to some of the other characters. Because I feel like we didn't get much about Emerald, right? Because like we have this section with him and the park and going through the challenges, but pretty soon after that we just move back into like, hey, let's introduce all of these old characters. And you already know them and you already like them and you already read their arcs. And so you're getting more of them, but because you're getting more of them, you're getting less of Emerald. That's the way that has to work. In like a
Yeah.
specific amount of pages, the more you bring back in other characters, the less you're going to get of your new main character, right? Emerald.
And what we did get at Emerald, I don't think was that interesting.
I mean, maybe it's just too short. Maybe if it had another volume or two, maybe it
Maybe
just
like,
went to volume 12.
because you could really feel like they start with the Battle Frontier stuff, and Emerald has some interesting interactions with the different facility members.
Yeah.
But like just about partway through, they're just like, nah, we're speeding this along. Like one of them
Yeah.
happens during the final battle. One of them happens as the final battle is breaking out.
Yeah.
And like it happens completely off like not off screen, but off page.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So like Emerald's little I need to challenge the battle frontier, which you don't even get to see the finale of.
No.
Um, it feels like it gets swept aside, which is unfortunate because it is at least 2/3 of this entire short arc. So like we spend 2/3 in the battle frontier just for it to not matter at the end and not play into it.
Yeah. Um, which really kind of sucks because I feel like the best part of these are like watching them challenge stuff to get like to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of feels shitty that like it kind of happened off screen at the very last minute. Like you could have shown it to us. I
And
would have
like
liked it if you'd showed it to us.
they've done this like not necessarily showing all of the challenges or not making it the forefront of the story before, but I think it just hurts with Emerald because you don't get a lot of perspective on what Emerald's goals are here other than to help the old Pokedex holders
Yeah.
not be dead.
And which once again, in a choice between Emerald and Ruby, Sapphire, Crystal, Gold, I'm gonna choose Ruby, Sapphire, Crystal, Gold to be more interested in. You know, like I
It,
care more about what happens to them than I do what happens to Emerald. And I feel a little bit bad because I know like you're supposed to like Emerald, obviously. You're supposed to like your protagonist, but
I feel like it's they don't put a lot of time into Emerald because Emerald's not a game character at all. This is an original character for the manga, which we've only done one time before in Pokemon Adventures, which was
yeah.
with Yellow. Even though I thought Yellow's arc was one of the weaker arcs, I feel like Yellow has been a decent character overall. I
Yeah.
don't get the same sense from Emerald, and I think that's just because Yellow at least got to appear in like the Gold, Silver, Crystal arcs as well.
Yeah, I
Her
was gonna say
character was pretty
because
well defined in her own arc still, and then she came back again for Fire Red and Leaf Green.
yeah, no, because you said it in your first comment, Yellow was a good character overall. There is no overall for Emerald.
No.
Emerald has no over. This is Emerald's overall. Like if Emerald had come in the beginning, right? Like before, Golden Crystal and Ruby Sapphire and all that, and done like this battle frontier thing, and then come back for like this final battle, I think I'd care more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like that would make more sense to me, and that would be a more intriguing storyline.
I feel like because if you remember Ruby and Sapphire's arc at all, Sceptile or what would become Sceptile was originally a Pokemon trained by one of the side characters from that arc, Wally.
Yeah.
And I feel like he probably should have just kept Sceptile and been the main character here. Oh, we
Your
cut out a little
Wi-Fi
bit.
has cut out.
Yeah, I know it's probably
Give it a second. Let's wait until I can actually see your
mine.
video
Okay.
again. Moving. Okay. I think I can see you moving again.
Okay. So I don't know if did you
Oh,
catch what I was
nope.
saying there? Was I
Nope.
ah damn it.
Oh, now you're good. Now you're good.
So did you catch what I was saying there before we got cut out?
Not really.
So what I was saying is, if you remember the Ruby Sapphire arc at all, there was a
Hmm.
character in there that originally owned Sceptile named Wally, who was a side character in Ruby and Sapphire.
Oh yeah, yeah, I heard that.
I feel like Wally should have kept Sceptile and remained the main character for this arc, just because we would have had just a little bit more investment in his established character,
But yeah, I think
just a
that could have
little
been
bit.
interesting. Yeah.
Um, and the other thing is, I was I remember even when the first time I read this, I really don't like what the twist they did on the villain. It felt cheap.
Oh,
Where the villain was like, it's the villain of the Ruby Sapphire arc again.
yeah. There's nothing new. It's just an old villain coming back again.
The only interesting part about that entire twist was that we tied it back into the villain of the Fire Red Leaf Green arc that got away. I think you even said you kind of liked that character, if I remember right.
I did. I liked the fire
And
red.
they were pulling this, and they're the one who gave that iron suit to Archie, our villain from Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like also the backstory we got for Emerald was very lackluster, you know?
Mhm.
It was very much just a who's who of I got this from this person and this from that person and this other thing from this third person. All people that you know and care more about than me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish I could tell you that Emerald as a character was going to get more interesting, but I'm not even confident we ever see Emerald again.
Oh. Well, that's kind of sad because I feel like, at least in my opinion, Pokemon is the kind of series where it doesn't really matter how bad your character introduction is, so long as you just keep coming back, eventually there'll be really interesting things about you. You know?
Hmm.
You have issues, Cat. Look at what she's done. You have issues.
And I don't blame them for not having that much of a plot line to go off of because what they're adapting here is like challenge. They're adapting the challenge mode of the game into a full ass arc
Ah.
because
So
they covered a
what's
lot of
different
this.
about the challenge mode?
It's just battles. That's all the challenge mode is battles with different rule sets.
Okay.
And then you have the frontier brain, like the big boss fights after you've won enough of those.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's basically just like a harder battle royale.
Kinda, yeah. And there were elements from Emerald's story like that were different from Ruby Sapphire, but a lot of those elements, like with Rayquaza from
Mhm.
the Ruby Sapphire arc, were already included in the Ruby Sapphire arc.
Yeah.
I don't know if it came out concurrent to Emerald or not, but it just leads to it meant that when we got to Emerald here, there was just not much new to do,
Yeah.
and they had to create a plot line, a brand new character for what would end up being the shortest arc in the series.
Hmm.
And I don't think that worked as well as with the even yet like especially Fire and Leaf Green where you're following older characters, or
Yeah.
but even Yellow you were following mostly the same cast. Here there's an entirely new cast until like 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, this was definitely not the highlight of Pokemon Adventures. Um like I read it. It was fine. I think as usual, I was the most invested in the battles. But I've been really invested in all the battles because I think I, Pokemon battles for some reason have the unique attribute of being one of the few types of like shonen fight scenes that I actually don't really get tired of. Like I just don't. At least in my experience. I don't really have an issue with them in the manga at all. Whereas like in some other mangas, like I'd get sick and tired of like some fights after a little while. Never had that problem with the Pokemon adventures. Like I've always
So
been engaged by the battles.
there are other times I can maybe say this, but I'll say this now. The Pokemon anime, covered the same sort of post game area of the Battle Frontier and as its own separate, like, not spin-off, but like filler series. And it is significantly better than the Emerald Arc.
Well, then I'd be much more interested in seeing that.
Unfortunately, that's a lot of Pokemon that we would have to get through before then, and that's not happening.
What is it called?
It's just called Pokemon The Battle Frontier.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah, it's not one of the Pokemon series I've even caught a couple of episodes of.
it was probably like because when we were at the prime age for Pokemon, it was literally the series that ended right before like the big generation we were growing up came out.
Okay, because I remember that the few actual episodes I caught on Disney when they came out were Diamond and Pearl and Black and White.
Yep, those are the series when we were growing up that came out. It was literally
Yeah.
the series before Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah, because I remember the only Pokemon movie I've seen is Zekrom and Reshiram.
Did you did you watch all the Diamond and Pearl episodes, or was it just kind of
No,
like scattered here? Okay,
no.
because there
I
is a
think
character from
I saw maybe four
because
scattered.
one of the characters here actually does show up in Diamond and Pearl at one point.
I don't think
You
because
wouldn't remember that though.
yeah, no, because my consumption of Pokemon at that point in my life was there's a premiere of another show directly after it. And, I've gotten permission to use the TV, so I turn the TV on and oh no, my show isn't premiering for 30 minutes. Well, Pokemon's on and it's better than Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. So I'll just watch Pokemon for 30 minutes before my actual show comes on.
I will say, if I were to like jump us to a Pokemon series other than just having us watch the original, I totally would jump us to Diamond and Pearl. It is one of the
Yeah.
better anime series.
Yeah.
More, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
But I
I
guess
don't
that
know.
segues into what do you think the next manga is if the next one after Battle Frontier in the anime was Diamond and Pearl?
Oh wait, so the thing after after Battle Frontier is Diamond and Pearl?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So something I've seen at least an episode or two of.
Yeah,
Uh
obviously it's not a straight adaptation, but it's the same.
yeah.
Like you'll probably start seeing Pokemon that you're familiar with like from that anime,
Yeah.
and it's going to be an interesting one for me because I've actually never read the next arc beginning to end, not
Hmm.
cleanly,
Hmm.
and which is weird because that was my first Pokemon game, so I'm actually kind of excited to get to that one.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't have the collector. There's no collector's volume. I got this bullshit happening right now.
Oh, look, a box set.
Yeah,
Is the box set all of Diamond and Pearl?
it's called Diamond and Pearl. It's called Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, but it's kind of weird. Like, there's a spot where I might cut us off and just keep Platinum because it's weird. It's all considered one arc because it was all subsequent, but there's a very clear cutoff point where it stops being Diamond and Pearl and starts focusing on the new Platinum elements.
And I assume after Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, they adapted Black and White into
No,
manga.
so I can go ahead and tell you the order as I remember it here. There's Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Then we're gonna go back to Gold and Silver for Heart Gold and Soul Silver,
Okay, the
and then
games
we're
I
doing
know.
Black and White and its follow up Black and White 2.
Okay. All right. Um,
So, but those games should most of them should be starting to sound familiar to you, I think.
the animes for Black and White and Diamond and Pearl, I remember hearing about Platinum, and then famously, Heart Gold and Soul Silver is the DS game I've ironically played the most and the least of. Um, famously on this channel. As I have unfortunately played that game three different times, gotten to the same point each time, and then never been able to continue that save file for various reasons, which I find to be maddening.
I
Is
can
it
only
is in
imagine.
fact the entire reason that you got me to play Pokemon and to read Pokemon is because of how much I wanted to finish Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but have never been able to. So famously. But
Famously.
that's fair. I think I've probably seen the most of Black and White. Because I definitely caught more than like 4 or 5 episodes of Black and White. Like I definitely caught like probably a good like 12 to 14 episodes worth. Not all like following one another, probably in like chunks, but I've definitely caught more of Black and White than I had of Diamond and Pearl.
I'm gonna be if we well, we'll probably make it to it eventually. I'll be pretty excited to get the Black and White because that's famously considered by a lot of people to be the best manga arc.
Okay. Well, then I'm looking forward to future arcs, even though the original Pokemon Adventures is now done. We're still gonna be reading Pokemon Adventures.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a weird
Um,
technicality in it. I
and
don't think.
I
Yeah.
will endeavor with all my soul to persuade Nick Nack to let me just do these arc by arc, regardless of how many volumes it is, because I am fully willing to just read 9 volumes in a row, if it's all the same arc.
See, but here's the thing: you might be reading 9 volumes in a row, anyways, because the next set is 11 volumes, which is about total. It's about 3 2/3 of the collector's edition we've been reading because they've been on average about 3 volumes a pop.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
We'll see if I'm fine with that going through.
Yeah, this is chat. Sorry, not chat. Comments make Nick Nack give me the entire Diamond and Pearl, and then Platinum, and then Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and then Black and White.
Let me read it, and if I feel like I need to stop or that there's a perfect stopping point, I will stop us. If there's not a perfect stopping point, we'll read the entire thing because Seki has claimed now that she can.
Read the entire thing. Read the entire thing.
Cut out there for a second, but I didn't say anything. So
Yeah, that's fair. Um, so that's all I've got to say about Pokemon Adventures ending unofficial and official. Um, unless you have something else to say.
do I have something else to say? Probably not. We need to get back to streaming Pokemon at some point.
We do, we do. I have full intentions of getting us back to streaming Pokemon, especially now that I can talk again. Oh, that's gonna date this. Now that I can talk again on
This
stream.
is this is the part where you get like you lose your tongue in a freak accident or something like that.
Don't even. My God. But we'll see you next time with whatever's up next on the channel, and then also whatever's next on Off the Shelf.
Bye.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Bye.